And here we are, draft season, 2 days away. I can't believe it. It feels like it's passed by way faster, man. How have you been, Corstian?
Been doing good. Just chilling. Getting ready for the draft.
Yep. Corstian and I actually just caught up this past weekend. We got some nice Korean fried chicken, caught up on a couple things. I haven't seen him in person in like a year, so that was fun stuff. We were thinking of doing like a live episode doing that, but I think it would have been tough to have like both microphones and computer setup. We don't have the mic setups yet, so hopefully as this podcast goes, we'll get better mics, and then it'll be fun to like have a studio or something like that where we can establish our own studios and find a common ground or something like that. But that's like far into the future. For now, guys, you're only here for one thing, and that is for more draft talk. So welcome back, episode 71 over here. Starting off with football this week, and then you'll get the basketball episodes later on. We are going to cover rounds 2 and 3 and a few other details. But first things first, Corstian, we got a little bit of news yesterday. So Drew Lock 2.0 to the Broncos. What did you make of it?
As long as he wears number 3, it's good.
Okay, obviously Drew Lock did not get traded back to the Broncos. I am being a little bit facetious here, but no, Zach Wilson ended up getting chosen to the Broncos. Corstian, do you think they're going to give Zach Wilson the starter position outright, or do you think they're still going to draft a quarterback?
I still think they'll draft a quarterback. I think, if anything, this move right here only serves purpose for like if their guy ends up getting taken earlier and they don't feel comfortable, reaching for a quarterback, they might go best player available and just be like, maybe we can give Zach Wilson a shot. If they draft, end up spending like a 3rd or 4th rounder, getting a quarterback, maybe they're more comfortable taking in that range just to kind of have more, I guess, training time for a later round quarterback. But I think this just kind of adds some back-end insurance just in case their guy's gone.
Yeah, I see this the same way. I don't think Zach Wilson is at the stage of his career yet where he's ready to take on the starter position. I think he needs more time. We got a little bit bamboozled a little bit from that Chiefs game because he looked amazing in that game. But I think since then he's had still struggles despite sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. So I think his career trajectory is back up at this point, but there's still an outside chance he could start. So we'll see what happens. For me, if I'm a Broncos guy and I'm looking to see which QB can we draft, I'm hoping Penix slides to me mid-first round, and I would pick him or Bo Nix. I think in our mock draft we had Bo Nix going to the Broncos or J.J. McCarthy, one of those two. It was J.J. Bo Nix went to the Raiders right after that. But I think any of those options has the potential to be better than Zach Wilson. So if I'm the Broncos, I'm going ahead and taking my swing over there. You got to get this QB position right. Otherwise, you have a lot of questions to answer as a front office because Russell Wilson had one of the best seasons of his career as a Broncos player last year. And I know it was a short 2 years, but he looked a lot better. Like some of his stats were like rivaling Mahomes at different parts of the season and better. But yeah, Sean Payton didn't want him back. Clearly wanted Zach Wilson. We know the talent of Zach Wilson is not where it needs to be yet. So let's see what happens there with the Broncos. Going back to our first round, and I can give you some time to look through this too. Were there any picks you really like from this mock? Like, is there one that stands out to you above the rest?
I think I think Chop Robinson was a nice pick. I liked the Brian Thomas pick. Those are probably two are probably, and then Byron Murphy to the Rams, probably my 3 favorites. Outside of like the generic Caleb Williams to the Bear, like the top 5 kind of
obvious ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was Xavier Worthy to the Dolphins. I know I picked that one, but I just think that's a great fit for what they want to do offensively with their speed. And I know that goes counter to when we were discussing the Dolphins, but I think if you're trying to double down on speed and just give the defense more areas to cover on the blade of grass, Xavier Worthy's the pick to make here. And then keeping in mind Tyreek Hill's future. So that was my personal favorite one from this draft, but lots of great ones. Like for the Steelers, Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he's getting criminally underrated. He should be a top 15 pick or higher. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa does another good one. Jared Verse is in a good situation in Seattle. So just a couple ones to highlight there. Alrighty. Corstian, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about in case I forgot anything?
No, I think it was good.
All right, sweet. Let's get to the fun stuff then. Alrighty. I'm just going to share our mock draft situation here. So we kept all these first round picks in round 1 just to continue our queue of players in round 2. These are players we expect can be picked in round 1, but will more likely be picked round 2 based on how we made our picks. Obviously, guys like Michael Penix could end up being here. I think I might be the only one who's picking him at 3 right now. Maybe somebody else is probably a wild guess of picking Michael Penix there. But, I mean, realistically, if Penix is not picked in mid-first round or late first round, there's a lot of mocks with him going in round 2. So
I've seen a couple like round 3 as well. Just he has a lot of range where I do think that he could be taken in the first, but just again with his concerns, even though he tested well, he doesn't really, he doesn't run a lot, and so it's like he has a lot of potential, but there's a lot of like question marks about his consistency, I guess, and throwing over the middle.
Yeah, and then like in the CBS mock draft I'm looking at right now, Penix is going at 43rd to the Falcons. And I think that's a great landing spot for him, actually. But that's I see that, but I also see reports where like lots of teams are not scared off by the injuries then I'm like, okay, if you're not scared off by the injuries, this guy should be a first round pick because his talent is right up there with everybody. So the draft is going to be wild. Penix might be the biggest wild card in all of this. I'm like where he ends up because he has the talent level to be the second best quarterback in this class. And that's a lot saying there's Jaden Daniels, Caleb, and then him. So I'm a huge believer in Penix personally. So I'm excited to see where he lands up. But for now, I think we ended off with you picking Mr. Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Chiefs. Yeah. Legendary name. Absolutely legendary name. So next is the Carolina Panthers. Their first pick in the NFL draft because they did us a solid, gave us DJ Moore. And we're going to go through these picks kind of fast since we're doing double the rounds this time. For me, I know they traded for Deontay Johnson, and I know they spent a lot on the O-line here. Given the amount of tackles that have left the board, I would be crazy if I didn't look at the value here. So scrolling down and looking here, lots of great receiving options here. There's Adonai Mitchell, there's Ladd McConkey, and then they picked Deontay Johnson. I think
Deontay Johnson's also just on a 1-year contract, so that's something to consider.
Right. Yeah, and that's also true as well. For me, I'm in an interesting spot here. I'm going to pick Adonai Mitchell. He's not the guy that I have as like a higher graded receivers. Like in this point in the draft class, there's at least 2 or 3 others that I like more. But I think for what Carolina needs, he's going to help tremendously because Terrence Marshall hasn't panned out yet. Deontay Johnson's not that kind of guy that's like a jump ball winner. And like he's an athlete, but he wins in different ways. He wins with quickness. And then you got an aging Adam Thielen who can function best as probably like a slot option right now. That's probably best. Like he can win outside, but like he's like 32 years old now.
Yeah, 32, 33 or something.
Yeah, that's a very tall task to ask of him. So I think Adonai Mitchell gives them another variable on offense to consider. And then I love the point you brought up with Deontay Johnson being on a 1-year deal.
Yeah. Then me with the Patriots right here, I think they're in a similar spot where they could go offensive line or a wide receiver. I think both are pretty big needs, but I think that there's a couple linemen that have fallen that I think are really great values here. And so I think Tyler Guyton, an offensive tackle from Oklahoma, is good. He's kind of an instant plug-and-play guy that you can get on that offensive line to protect your new rookie quarterback, and I think that's a staple here. I think we're entering that range of wide receivers where they're starting to kind of mesh. And so, at least in terms of skill. And so I think they were able to risk it and take a guy farther down the board potentially and still get good value there.
That's fair. With Arizona, we last picked with Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think the clear find here is the offensive line. Okay. So this is where I'm a little bit less unfamiliar with the offensive line play here. They could go running back as well. I wouldn't be surprised by that, given James Conner's injury history. But I think there's a multitude of ways, and then they could also go cornerback here. So let's see here. I don't think they go Jatavian Sanders because of the way Trey McBride's been playing.
Yeah, and then I also think Jatavian Sanders, he falls a bit just because he seems like, at least at Texas, he seemed like a guy that got schemed open more rather than like making his own space, especially when you got guys like Mitchell and Mitchell and Worthy, who are your like key playmakers. And then he didn't test well as well at the combine and his pro day, and so I can envision him dropping quite a bit still, even though he's the next highest tight end available.
I'm going to go with a cornerback here. I'm trying to find him. Enes Rakestra Jr. at a cornerback out of Missouri. I don't know his game too well, so I'm going to lean on what we've seen out of him. So I'm going to open up his bio a little bit, and let's see here. So he had a really good game against LSU. That's something that stands out to me because LSU has like 3 or 4 great receiving options on that roster. So that's an important one to stand out. He did do so well against Florida, so that's important to know. As far as his college tape in 2023, he allowed 18 receptions on 277 coverage snaps. And 28 targets here. Yards 197, only 1 touchdown in the full year, and he's been pretty consistent like year to year on limiting the amount of touchdowns against him. Not many interceptions on that category, but I feel like with the defensive coordinator turned head coach and Jonathan Gannon, I think that's something that could be easily corrected. So I'm a fan of this move. I think just from looking at statistics, let me say that 3 times fast. Statistics. I'm not saying it 2 more times, but based on his stats, I think he's a great guy, but I have to watch more tape of him. I think he fills a need what they're looking for on the Cardinals.
Yeah. I think that's a solid pickup for them. Here with the Commanders. So let's see. I mean, you addressed your quarterback situation, which is nice for them. Again, I'm not super high on Jatavian Sanders, so I'm not going to go tight end here. Offensive line could use help, but I think that their secondary is pretty weak right now. And so I think I go Tyler Nubin out here, the safety from Minnesota. He's a good kind of ball hawking safety. He's good at covering over deep. And so I think that's just kind of like a nice staple to have, I guess, at the, as your back in your back or in your secondary, I mean. But yeah, so I'll go him there.
100% fair. With the Chargers, I'm in a weird spot because I could pick a couple Michigan guys I see here. And I know tight end's obviously a need for them as well. I really, really want to go Blake Corum here. Just because I think he's going to a place where Jim Harbaugh's familiar with this game. I think that would be a solid pickup for them. But I can't ignore the wide receiver needs they have on the roster right now, especially with Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So when I look at Quentin Johnson and I look at the other receiving options on the field, I think they need a guy like Keon Coleman. Again, I think there's other receivers better than him. Ladd McConkey was one of my guys we discussed. I'm fully aware of that. I think with Keon Coleman specifically, he's like Adonai Mitchell, but I think he has higher potential. There's in some cases where he's like been better than Marvin Harrison Jr. at like contested catches and catching them in traffic, running at the same speed. That's something to note from the combine. And something I listened to on one of the podcasts, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he mentioned that in the combine. I was like, okay, if he can run in a straight line and catch consecutive balls, that's a guy you want on your team. And I think for how the roster shapes up with Los Angeles, he, again, gives them a different dimension than Quentin Johnson, who's best as a run after catch threat. And then some of the receiving options they have there. I'm blanking on who's on their roster anymore now. It's insane. I'd have to look at their depth chart, but Keon Coleman would easily be the best receiving option on that team. Obviously, like Quentin Johnson has the potential to be that, but he has a couple of issues to correct. But I think you can build something with a Keon Coleman, Quentin Johnson combo there.
Yeah. I think wide receiver is a good move here. Obviously, we had them taking Joe Alt with their first pick, and so this is a good spot for him. For the Titans here, I think they're a team that could benefit from a tackle. I think a lot of mock drafts have them going Joe Alt, but we had them, I think, going Brock Bowers earlier here, right?
Yep, we did.
Yeah, okay. And I think they're going to continue with this offensive building. I think their defense is already pretty good. They could benefit from, I'm looking at their depth chart right here, like maybe cornerback to maybe an edge rusher, but I think overall they're still good enough there, and so I'm going to have them take Kingsley Suamatia. I think he is the next best offensive tackle on the board here. I think there's discussion for Jordan Morgan to be in this spot as well, but I think Kingsley, I think he has a higher ceiling. I think he needs time to develop a little bit more, but he has a higher ceiling. So I'm going to go with that and, potentially get your superstar franchise guy at the top of the second.
Homer pick right there. Did you watch him at all at BYU?
I just saw a little bit of tape of him.
Okay, cool. Not so Homer. I'm just kidding. Okay, so with the Panthers, I had them picking Adonai Mitchell here at 33rd here. I could double down on receiver because it's a huge need for them. There's also a tight end option as well. That's definitely something there. I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall here out of Florida. I think he's an underrated receiver. I think he can win on multiple levels of the field. He might be one of the more underrated receivers coming out of this class, even though I highlighted that as McConkey and Worthy. Like Pearsall's another one of these guys. Trust me, there's probably at least 20 to 25 receivers like this. Pearsall's one of them. One of the best options, number one option in Florida. Mr. Reliable there. I think you can't go wrong with this pick here. And he could very well be the wide receiver one, where you have Adonai Mitchell on the other side, and then Deontay Johnson. So very talented guy. I think to get him at 39 here is huge. I could have switched the picks around and picked him 33rd, but regardless, great landing spot for him. And I think for Carolina specifically, you're just trying to get Bryce Young help. Young athletic weapons can win on the other side. And again, they already addressed guard in free agency. Could they double down on guard in the draft? Yeah, good franchises do that. But I think they have some opportunities later in the draft to do that.
Yeah, I think this is an all right pick. I think it's more of a I feel like here it's kind of feels like a luxury pick. that they don't necessarily need to. I think defense could have been a really good option there for the Panthers, especially because you lost like your starting kind of like linebacker, your T linebacker or whatever. You lost Jeremy Chin in free agency. Your defense is kind of gutted. You lost Brian Burns. So like me personally, I think a guy like Edgerrin Cooper or going after another edge guy, like where is he? Marshawn Leland, I think would have been really good here. But no, I like the value. I mean, I still think that wide receiver is a beneficial pick here for him. But
the thing is, I put wide receiver as like a better value here, and it's kind of like a conversations. I'm like, okay, where does the 10th wide receiver rank amongst like the 5th best defensive end? And those conversations. I could have picked Zach Frazier here as well, because although they addressed guard depth, they didn't necessarily address the center position, and that's another need seen listed there. But that's totally fair. I think for this team specifically, in a division that's wide open for right now, we'll see if the Falcons' hype is real this season. I think the Panthers can very quickly put themselves in that conversation and rebuild that defense slowly. But if I was the GM here, I'm like doing this, going full in on offense and trusting Bryce Young and trying to see if he's the answer by providing him weapons early so I can maximize his rookie contract.
Yeah, I think, and then just another issue here for me is that this gives the Panthers 5 technical starting receivers that they're trying to work around, which it's just hard to kind of get them all into the field. But
I think that's a good problem to have though when the season progresses.
Yeah,
and like you have injuries happen. Worst comes to worst, you finally get trade value where we get to recruit more draft picks and kind of rebuild like the draft pick spots that you lost from last year trying to get Bryce Young. So
yeah,
it's definitely a risk. You're totally right in saying like wide receivers, you don't have to get it here. It's definitely a luxury pick, but I think there's ways to work around that with your roster where you don't have to solidify that, and you can just get guys to compete rather than just have guys as entrenched starters and have the full trust in them this season. I think you need to make them earn it on this team. You're trying to establish a culture there.
Yeah. But yeah, next up I got the Commanders here. And I know they need a little bit of offensive line help, so I'll just keep on going the offensive line train for these teams. But Jordan Morgan, he's still a good player. He was the other guy I was debating with at that Titan spot, and so I think he just makes sense here at pick 40.
Solid value there. All right, with the Green Bay Packers, not many holes in this lineup, in my opinion. I don't think they go receiver here. They could. Again, it's a luxury pick for them, but I think the amount of receiving talent they have on their roster is deep and quality. So I'm going to ignore that. I could easily go cornerback, center here, defensive end, Roman Wilson, taking Sanders. But they did take 2 tight ends recently. So for me, I'm going to go Braden Fiske. A lot of people didn't talk about the Florida State defense enough because a lot of the conversations were drive towards, they didn't make it to the national championship playoffs because of their 5th ranked seed. But just watching their D line as a whole, like they were just single-handedly keeping teams in the games. And seeing his games, he stood out against Louisville, and that was hard to do because that was one of the lowest scoring games I probably watched out of all like the college football games that I watched, which is like a handful here. But look at his sacks, hits, hurries. It's not as great as 2022, that's for sure. But if you look at the amount of snaps he played, it's clear it's like in a limited sample size. But I think the fact that you see him like go on more pass rushing snaps than defensive snaps too means that they didn't know what to do with him initially in like 2021 as you see the balance ratio between pass rush and run defense, and you sort of see that lean towards the pass rush in 2022, but still like roughly equivalent. But I think the fact that you see the pass rush snaps like increase a ton means the coaching staff had value. They thought he was valuable in the pass rushing aspect of it. So that's where you can. That's an interesting stat to note. I think another interesting snap to note with the alignment and snaps as well is the change from like A gap to B gap. He looks like he exclusively lines up like over the B gap a majority of the times, where coaching staff didn't seem like whether it's like outside tackle or B gap or A gap in 2022. I think this means like he might be best as like a 3-4 defensive end. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm looking at this team, let's see here. When I see Green Bay, they can function in multiple units really. So I think this would be great to pair by Kenny Clark. So
yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good move there too. Yeah, just kind of shoring up your defense, especially like you were saying, their offense is really set for now. At least, there's a lot of guys that are on the rise, and so we'll kind of have to see how that plays out before they start making moves there again. But I think Texans are in a similar spot too, where their offense looks pretty set. I think defense is a valid move here. I'm like torn between two guys here. One being Chris Jenkins, who I think is the third best interior defensive lineman in the draft. Or going Edgerrin Cooper, who's a great kind of off-ball linebacker who still has like pretty strong blitzing ability. And so I think they are strong. I don't know. I think they're decently set with their I think I'm going to go Chris Jenkins here. I was thinking of Cooper, but then like Cooper, I think he plays better as kind of like a 4-3 outside linebacker, and the Texans kind of fall more under that 3-4 system, and so I think he could still be able to play decently as the off ball there, but I think his talents may be better farther down the board.
Fair pick. All right, so we got the Falcons here. Again, another offensive team I want to touch right now. I know CBS had Michael Penix going at 43. We had talked about that. That's a possibility. I think right now you want to hammer home the defensive line and cornerbacks. I'm going to take the best cornerback off the board right now, and Mike Saran still. Mm-hmm. Another guy I don't know too much about. Michigan guy. They had a fantastic defense coming out, so expect a lot of them to be picked up in this rate. And I mean, obviously, when I look at Iowa, they had a horrible offense last year, so that's like to stand out against Iowa is like, oh, okay, that's pretty obvious. But looking at his statistics in 2023 is just outrageous. 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's hard to do. That's a really great college football season. Because keep in mind, they're playing 13 games. So pretty much like almost a quarter of the games he's getting a pick. And played less snaps in coverage. And he allowed fewer balls, fewer targets, and around the same amount of yards. Slightly fewer. Let's be fair to him. So the passer rating looks like it's like a moderate drop off, but these are insane statistics. And wild to me that he's lining up a D-line slot in the corner. So it might be on like slot blitzes. But to me, he kind of projects as a nickel for the Atlanta Falcons when I look at this and what he does best. But I think he could start to play outside as well because you look at the increase in usage in like corner of the box. So I think you're getting an overall guy who you hope can be like a Robin to AJ Terrell and then Jeff Okudah. So I think for them, it gives Atlanta a nice three-man punch. You guys know I love talking about that with wide receivers, but I think to have that on the defensive end is strong. Not a lot of teams can match up. We've seen what happened with Kansas City when you had Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed, just two of them. And now, like, Atlanta's hoping that their three starting corners can play well. And I think this will be an important pickup for them.
With the Raiders here, I think I'll just kind of be quick about it. I'm going to go Jonathan Brooks from Texas.
Great pick.
They lost Josh Jacobs over the course of the offseason. I think he just instantly comes in, is able to fill that hole, be the first running back taken.
Okay, sweet. I'll have to remember to be quick about this. I've been talking a lot. With the Saints, I don't think they re-signed Michael Thomas. Right now they have Chris Olave, and then they have who's their second receiver now? I remembered his name.
They got like
Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, A.T. Perry's on there.
Yeah, and Perry was standing out a lot. So it's a question of, do I want to add a receiver here or tackle? They're in a great spot to be adding that. Let me take a look at the quarterback options they've had here. So Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, Jordan Travis, Joe Milton. Jordan Travis might be a good spot for him. Like being the Saints, but I think it's a little too early to pick him. I think you can get him later and try and maximize your other picks here. I'm gonna go Lab McConkey. Can't believe he's still on the board right now.
Yeah, I was gonna take him for the Colts if he was.
Yeah, but like I think even for the Saints team, he provides, again, a little bit different than what Chris Olave. Like Chris Olave can win anywhere on the field. Rashid Shaheed is best as like a deep threat. Like AJ Perry's becoming that guy that can win anywhere on the field, but I think he'll need more time. I think Lab McConkey's a ready-made guy where you can throw him in the slot, but he's best as an outside receiver. I think when we see the name and see the player, we just think, oh, Julian Edelman or Cooper Kupp, but he doesn't play like that at all. He can be pretty shifty, but he's an outside receiver. So I think this gives the Saints more flexibility to have like a scary trio eventually, and then still like put in Shaheed like when needed, when you need to go 4 wide and need to worry about somebody. So I think this is it's kind of a luxury pick given their wide receiver needs, but they did lose Michael Thomas. So I think this helps fill that
gap. Yeah, I think Colts are in a good overall position. I think they got a lot of strengths on both sides of the ball. I think like linebacker or defensive line could be strong here. Kind of letting one of my guys just continuously fall for some reason. I don't know why, but I think this is a team that I think they've been going wide receiver the past couple drafts, but I still think they have room to improve. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Josh Downs. He's an elite slot guy. Then I think Michael Pittman, he's good. But I think they need a solid like downfield burner, and I kind of see that with Xavier Leggett from South Carolina. He's a good deep threat for them. I think that it still has some size, so he can go up and get the ball. But I think this just opens up the field for Anthony Richardson to at least take some of those deep shots that I think this team has been lacking slightly over the past little bit.
Yeah, and Alec Pierce, that's a guy that can do that right now. But I think with Xavier Leggett, we talked about Ricky Pearsall. We talked about some of these wide receivers that we deem underrated. He's another one of those guys. Like, if you look at his personal backstory on like how he came to the league, he had a lot of family circumstances and life circumstances that came in the way of him producing like he has in college. So like the college production might not match like what his potential truly is. And I think he just started to realize that this season. So like this is a sneaky good pickup. I liked it.
Thanks.
Okay. From the Giants' perspective, they have a lot of needs. I think we picked Roma Dunze with them with the first round pick there. So they could double down on wide receiver if they believe in Danny Dimes. But to me, I don't think you can you can roll with Danny Dimes for too long like that. Honestly, I would pick a quarterback here, even when the value's really bad. If they had their quarterback solidified and I was confident in that, I would have said draft Blake Corum to fill the gap left by Saquon Barkley. But I think to me, you pick up Jordan Travis and you kind of keep him on the back burner for next year. See what you can get with him.
Okay. Here with the Jaguars. I think I guess it says here too that they need an edge. So I'm gonna give them an edge rusher because we had them taking Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, cornerback, so that kind of fixes that, or at least addresses that need. But here I'm gonna have them take Marshawn Kneeland from Western Michigan. He is really high motor, really strong, just kind of power rush guy that like that I think helps elevate this team. I know Trayvon Walker's been there. He hasn't really done all too much, but I think Marshawn Kneeland, he's just better as a player in the fact that like he weighs like 270 pounds or something, and he ran like a 4.7 something 40 time. His like 3 cone I think was in like the low 7 seconds, which is like a wide receiver kind of running back speed, and so or like a speed I guess, and so he's huge. He's insanely just athletic as well, for like ridiculously athletic for his size, and so I go Marshawn Kneeland here for them.
Yeah. Western's right around the corner for me. It's literally 5 minutes away from where I live. So that's cool to know that a player from Western Michigan is rated that highly by you. I haven't watched him personally, so I'm very excited to see him play. Sounds like he's a great player. I think for me that might be a reach. I probably would have gone like the Penn State guy just from logo scouting. I'll be honest. I think this is a guy you might have gotten in the 3rd round, but I don't hate the pick. I think it fills a need for them. So
yeah, I've seen a few mock drafts of him going into the 1st round to Detroit.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going 1st round. I
don't think so either, but
a lot better options. But I mean, it sounds like there's a wide range with him, and I think if he's as agile as his 3-cone time suggests, honestly, it doesn't matter where he gets picked up. I think this will be a good fit for him regardless, because you're talking about a team that has Trayvon Walker and then Josh Allen, and then you had a guy like him. You're not asking him to be the number 1 pass rusher with this pick. So for me, from the team building perspective and then filling the need, I think great decision. Bengals, keep it simple. I think a tight end will open up some things in their offense. Give Joe Burrow a safety blanket. And then also try to navigate the T. Higgins situation. I don't have them going to Jadavion Sanders here. I don't have them going Eric All or Case Silver. I have them going with Ben Sinnott. He's my 2nd highest graded tight end here. I really like his potential. I think he's just a great receiver. You can line him up in multiple different areas. Slot, inline, played a lot of passing snaps. You could see the yards per reception both in 2022 and 2023 really high. Increased use of targets. That's very important to note there. He's started to be a focal point of this team for Kansas State, and keep this in mind. He's a great pass rusher. Think like, and he's not on the realm of like Sam Laporte or like Dalton Kincaid, but he doesn't have to be, because they already have Jamar Chase and they already have T. Higgins. I don't know what they're doing about Tyler Boyd, if they plan to re-sign him back or not. But even if they don't, this is a great addition to have. I think. I think he will fit right into what the Bengals want to
do. Yeah. I was thinking you're going to go tight end here for the Bengals. I know they're a candidate to be a team to trade up to either like 10 or 12, to try to go after Brock Bowers if he's still sitting there. So I think, and eventually I think they're going to take a tight end, and I think second round's a good spot for him. For the Eagles here, think they have a need at center, so I'm going to have them take a center, go Zach Frazier, kind of simple.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I would think you would go DB there, but that's not a bad pick either. Almost like they had a guy that played like a decade long at the center position and then just suddenly retired. So that's kind of a need you need to fill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was thinking because we did have them take Terry and Arnold in round 1, I was thinking maybe they have a little bit of leeway to maybe wait further down the draft to maybe go another guy in the secondary, or even in 2 picks from now if you want, but
it's true. Edmund Cooper's still on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Steelers are in an interesting spot. They have Calvin Austin and they have George Pickens. But I still think, again, they might need one more guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Roman Wilson here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Here, I like Rams going after quarterback here. I think they hope to ride it out one more year, just kind of see how far that takes them and continue building instant kind of playmakers here. So I think I'm going to have to go defense here. I'm just going to just a second. Rams depth chart. I need to see what holes they have on defense right now.
Not Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I think did we not have them getting at least defensive line round 1 or? Okay, we had them getting Byron Murphy, and so I was thinking off-ball linebacker or a cornerback, which falls under what I think they need. Here, maybe I'll just have them go Edgerrin Cooper, just kind of, or no, not Edgerrin Cooper. Sorry, did you make that pick? No, I want them to go Junior Colson. I think he's potentially the best off-ball back or linebacker in this upcoming draft. I think he's fallen quite a bit, and I think that this is a solid landing spot for him here.
Yeah, back-to-back Michigan picks there. I think, to me, Junior Colson, he looked great on tape. He was like flying everywhere when I was watching him. But that's a great get for the Rams. I think that's somebody you need.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that could, in theory, go at the back end of the first round if a team that needs a linebacker kind of, their guys kind of further up the board or their higher guys ended up getting taken, and he kind of just is sitting there. But I think there's a chance that he does fall a little bit. Just that's kind of how off-ball linebackers do nowadays.
Yeah, it's fair. I'm going to try and speed it up real quick. I know we're rolling in some time with the second round. All right, Eagles. So last time we were looking at this team, I think you picked Zach Frazier for them. That's a solid pick. Again, a lot of receiving options here. But I don't think they can pass up on Edgerrin Cooper. I think you can get receivers later.
Mm-hmm. Linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper. Okay, Browns. Let's see. I was going to take Edgerrin Cooper. Let's see.
That's what you get for taking Colson, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Colson's still better than Edgerrin Cooper, so I'm not. I mean, it is what it is there. Let's see. O-line's good. D-line. Bro, I guess Browns here. I'll have them go safety. I don't necessarily see this as like a huge need for them, but I'm going to have them take Jaden Hicks from Washington State. He's just kind of a solid, strong safety in the box kind of guy, and so I think that kind of fills some of that, safety / linebacker need that they might be looking towards.
Okay. Solid pick there. For me, with Miami, I want to go Jatavian Sanders so badly here, but I think they need a little bit more help on like the interior. I'm gonna go Mason McCormick out of South Dakota State.
Okay.
he's a little bit of an underrated guy, but he's one of my favorite guards coming out of the draft. When I watched him and his running mate, I think he played center for South Dakota State, and they were on a podcast talking together. I think it was a Bootleg Football podcast. The way he was explaining how he would play off his teammates and stuff, that's a guy you want to have, especially when you lose like a guy like Robert Hunt in free agency. I think he went to the Panthers. So
yeah,
you want to replace Robert Hunt, yes, but this is a really good guard. Can't pass up on, especially for the run concepts you want to run.
Yeah. Here with the Cowboys, they have like 0 running backs on their team, so I'm gonna have them go Blake Corum.
I was about to say you had better pick a running back for them. They're going to make Tony Pollard their guy, and suddenly he's not. All right, so Buccaneers, lot of needs here. Yeah, I don't really know what to do for this team. I feel like you can go with anybody. Really. Wow. There's a lot of options. I'm gonna go with Max Melton out of Rutgers. Homer pick I get, but he's a really great corner. Just to look at his stats real quick. Stay consistent, like still have multiple touchdowns each year. Interceptions stay the same, but look over year, his passer rating decreased. So on like a wider field and harder to cover receivers where it seems like everybody's going off for 200 yards, this is a great get. And this is an outside corner you're getting based on the snaps that can play slot as you looked in the increased number of snaps. So I think this is going to be an important need for them.
Packers here, I'm going to have them go Javon Bullard, safety from Georgia. You know, they lost a safety, I think, in free agency. This is just kind of a young replacement that can hopefully easily just kind of pick up, maybe play a little bit of nickel if they need to. But generic pick for them, I think.
Yep, I put in Javon Bullard. All right. With the Texans, they could pretty much go anybody here, to be honest. Let's see. Again, a lot of receivers in this class. A lot of guys I like out of here. I could go one of the Washington guys. They would be great value here. But I think what I will do here is I'm going to hit the guy out of Alabama, Chris Braswell. A little bit of logo scouting here, but if you take a look at his snaps, had his worst game in Michigan, best game in Auburn. But look at the sack numbers. Look at the amount of hurries like compared to like years past. This guy's a budding edge rusher, and what better to learn from Danielle Hunter and like other guys out there. I think you can't have enough pass rushers, and you could start him out on third down situations with the way you built your roster, and then still integrate him in, and then maybe run 3 pass rushers on third down. So can never have enough, especially in the AFC. I'm gonna go with
him. Bills here. I'm gonna have them take this to Isaac, the edge rusher from Penn State. I think their edge rushers are kind of weak right now. I mean, you got Von Miller, who had a pretty awful year last season. Greg Rousseau is kind of just, I mean, he's doing all right, but then it's like after that, you got like AJ Epineza, who's all right. He was drafted a couple years ago, hasn't really developed into a superstar or anything. And so it's like you got Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and then kind of just a whole bunch of okay guys. So hopefully this guy's able to, step up for him.
Okay. Solid ad there. For the Lions, that's a team that went to the NFC Championship game. Not a ton of needs. For me, I'm gonna go Cooper Beebe though out of Kansas State. Great last name, by the way.
Let's see.
I think for the way they want to build their team, that's gonna be an important guy to have. Rebuild the trenches there.
Huh?
Oh no, I just said you want to rebuild the trenches.
Oh yeah.
Just have the depth there.
Wait, sorry, who'd you say again?
Cooper Beebe. He's the guard out of Kansas State.
Okay. I'm filling it on for anyone that's wondering. I have a separate mock draft of me just filling in the guys as well, so I can keep track without having to look at the little screen that I have in front of me right here. But
I made it harder on Corstian, I guess.
With the Ravens here, I'll have them take TJ Tampa, just a cornerback, get another guy off on the opposite side of Marlon Humphreys. I think this, I don't know, you can never have enough cornerbacks with how many superstar receivers there are in the league.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, that brings us to San Francisco. I want to do Malachi Corley so badly because they have Deebo Samuel on the roster. But I don't think I can go too far on that team without addressing cornerback. I think that was one of their big weaknesses in the last year. So I'm going to go Kamari Lassiter.
Let's see, draft. Yeah. Let's see. Chiefs, I think I'll have them take a wide receiver here. I'm debating between Troy Franklin and Malachi Corley here, though. Go the more traditional route and just go Troy Franklin here, I think.
Okay. I probably would have gone Corley just because they don't have that type of guy on the roster. But this is a fine bet. I mean, they have Kadarius Toney, but he's not been like reliable. Like as far as like play style, like Malachi Corley would probably be like a Deebo Samuel, Kadarius Toney type of guy. But Kadarius Toney's just not been on the field, so that would be the reason for it.
Yeah.
Okay. With Carolina, I kind of doubled down on wide receiver there. So I think you want to continue to hammer out like your options on the offensive end. A lot of needs, definitely for sure. Let's see. I could go Malachi Corley. I'm just kidding. I'm going to go Jatavian Sanders. Give them a tight end to plan around from Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, and I think that's a solid spot for him. Let's see. Cardinals here. Let's see. I got to look back and see like who we've had them take. I'll have them.
1 second.
I'll have the Cardinals take the tackle Kieran Amegadije or whatever his name is. I know they got Jonah Williams, but he seems like more of a.
Which guy did you say again?
Well, I said Kieran Amegadije.
Oh, the guy at Yale. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I think he's just a future replacement for Jonah Williams.
Okay. It's fair. Didn't they just get Jonah Williams?
They did, but I don't think he's like a long-term fix for them.
That's fair. For Washington, I want to give my new quarterback newfound help in the offensive line. So I'm going to go Christian Hayes here.
Okay. Here, the Patriots finally get some more weapons, I think. Right, because we have them offensive line here, round 1, quarterback. I think a guy that they'll like here is Malachi Corley.
Okay, very interesting. I probably would have gone Polk, but it's not a bad selection at all. Speaking of which, with the Chargers, I think they've done a great job. I think we've had them pick a Joe Alt first round, and then scrolling up here, let's see. Then we went Keon Coleman as wide receiver. I think they still need as much help on offense as possible. I think your defense can survive a little bit. We do have a couple like D linemen and guys you have, but I think with the 3 pass rushers, they're okay for now. I think their offense needs a little bit more rebuilding, so I'm gonna go Polk here.
Okay. With my pick for the Giants, let's see. Not bad.
So we had them picking Adunze, right?
Yeah.
And then I think in the second round we had them pick Jordan Travis.
Yeah, I was thinking running back potentially here. going like Jalen Wright. So maybe I'll just do that. They get their running back in the 3rd round here.
Yeah, as I was making the Jalen Polk thing, I was thinking in my head like, oh, Chargers could go running back here because we discussed that was probably be the value here. But then, so I was thinking right in my head, but good selection. I think the Cardinals, we had them pick Marvin Harrison Jr. and then Ennis Rakasaw Jr. there. So okay, that's completely fair. Let's see. I'm going to have them go. Let's see. I'm struggling out here to navigate. I'm going to have them pick. Let's see. Has it been picked? Braylon Trice. Yes. I'm going to pick Braylon Trice out of Washington.
Braylon Trice, edge rusher. Nice. Jets here. I think. Let's see. I'll have them take safety here, Kalen Bullock from USC.
Okay. What made you pick safety for them?
Just kind of added secondary help. I was looking at him. I've seen a couple, mocks go after Tyke Smith from Georgia. Maybe I'll save him for the Eagles or something, but I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, I think secondary is one of their needs. I think wide receiver is a position they could have gone for here. But right, like who do we? I guess they don't have a first, second rounder, but yeah, because like the first round, I think we had them take an offensive lineman, so that's kind of like a good, foundational piece for their offense there. But then just kind of shoring up that defense that I think has a couple holes that need to be addressed, and that's a good spot to go with.
Okay. No, that's definitely fair. Trying to think of who to pick. I would go safety here for the Lions. I don't think it's a nice get. I think we had them go guard last time, Cooper Beebe. Interesting how they must have got that from the Hawkins trade there. Okay, so we had them go guard. Let's take a look at some of the edges here. Austin Booker, Kansas, Javon. I'm gonna have them go Mo Camara. If you watch his games against Colorado, he's just like absolutely unguardable. I think this is the type of round where like anybody can just jump around and like just snap whoever the heck they want. Like rounds 3 through 5, like it's kind of like what does the team kind of need, especially the badge. So I jumped a little bit to get Mo Camara, but I think he could be like a bookend to Aiden Hutchinson. That's how high his potential is. So I think it's worth it.
Here. Okay, I gotta keep on seeing who the Falcon teams to draft. Who we have them drafting. So you have Mike here, cornerback, and then round 1, edge rusher. Okay. Falcons here, I think continue. Like I think a wide receiver is a valid like pick for them here. They got like Drake London. They got but then they also got like Darnell Mooney and Rondell Moore, who's like are okay, secondary guys. And so I think I'll just keep on stacking their defense here, and I'll go with Tavondre Sweat. He's a good player. The issue I think he just had was he was like arrested for like a DUI or something, just like literally this month, which kind of hurt his draft stock. But overall, he's been good. But that's just kind of the concern is like you're doing idiot things around draft time. But I think realistically he could go high second round, but again, because of off-field concerns, he falls to kind of like the beginning-ish of the 3rd round.
Okay. No, I mean that's a fair argument to make there. So with the Bears, I think it doesn't hurt to keep going defensive line, but we've recently made like adjustments there. As far as like draft picks from last season. So to me, I think offensive line is more of an important need. I think Braxton Jones is okay, but we could use some better pickups here. Let's see. I don't know if I should pick Blake Fisher or like Brandon Coleman. I'm gonna go Fisher here.
Fisher, you said?
Yeah.
Blake Fisher?
Yeah, Blake Fisher out of Notre Dame, tackle.
Okay. Here, let's see, I got the Broncos and there's a lot of holes on this team. And I think I will have them just end up taking Jonah Ellis. He's an edge rusher. He's all right at pass rush, but he's also decent at run stop. And so I think that's just kind of a mixed bag of needs that the Broncos defense has had. I think cornerback could have been a valid option here too. But yeah, I think Jonah Ellis would be not so bad here.
Okay. Not a bad pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for the Raiders per se, we got their quarterback, we got their running back. I think for me, it's about protecting those guys. So I'm going to pick Brandon Coleman here.
Brandon Coleman, okay. Now we got, the Commanders got so many picks, dude. We have 1.
That's wild.
2, 3, 4. We've already given them 4 picks, man. I don't know. I feel like, do we just like, we got a guard, tackle, safety, quarterback. And so maybe I'll just have, I know the thing is like Darius Robinson's like an interior defensive line edge rusher kind of guy. So like I don't necessarily want to do that for them. Maybe we can like stack the secondary here. I know at running back they got Austin Eckler, who looked pretty awful last season. Oh, that's my dog.
I think he's due for a rebound though.
Yeah, I mean it was more so he looked really slow.
I don't think your dog approves of that. I think he's a huge Austin Eckler stan.
Yeah. So I think, let's see. Maybe I'll just have him go after Trey Benson. I think a guy like Trey Benson likely goes maybe later in the 3rd or closer to the 4th, but I don't know. This kind of feels more like a luxury pick at this point, just because you've drafted so many needs earlier on. I'm just, because then at least with him, you get a guy that could potentially, that you can kind of work with in terms of balance. Because I know you got they got
so many backs though. I don't know.
Like,
they got Brian Robinson.
You got Austin Eckler, but then it's like if Austin Eckler sucks for some reason, I think it's just like a safe insurance thing to have, just some 3rd round guy. And that's why I say he's probably more suited to be like pick 100 for the Commanders, but it's just kind of like he's a guy that could.
Yeah.
Flash.
I'm looking at the Falcons picks here because they're coming up. Okay, what do we have? So we had Dallas Turner, and then we went cornerback with them next. Mike Sandstrom. Can't even remember my own picks at this point of this team. Okay, so I think we cleared up their needs by doing this unintentionally. I think with the Falcons, there's a number of ways you can do it. Go with here, so I'm just going to go with the best player available. Let's see. I'm going to go Javon Baker. I really like his upside.
Javon Baker. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to address, especially because we passed on wide receiver at that last pick. Now I got to go through all the Bengals picks and see what they've done. So they got tight end, and they got off.
I think I picked Sanat to them.
What was that?
I think I picked Sanat to the Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah, all of a sudden we're at like all the tackles are gone, man. But no, I think we already had them getting one.
we picked like 20 in like the first 60 picks.
Yeah, here, part of me thinks it'd be kind of fun for them to double dip like the Packers did at tight end. Like in case Sinat isn't as great, and like I'm thinking maybe we go, Eric All, tight end, the state of tight ends, from Iowa.
I mean, that's the one place to get a tight end from,
right?
So.
And so it's like if you're worried about one or the other, I feel like you could double. I'm gonna have them double down on tight end here. It's a stupider way to draft, but I mean the Packers did it. Their first tight end, he got hurt, and then the other guy showed up and he was pretty decent too. So just kind of fill in that immediately. I think it's not too awful.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's good, and it also gives them something they don't use very often: 12 personnel. Mm-hmm. So I think even with a guy like Zach Moss, you can give him some opportunities and like open up the play action game, help give Burrow more time. I like the pick. Okay, for Seattle, I'm not going to hit so hard on the secondaries. I think they could use another safety. Let's see here. It's not – I don't like safety ranks a lot. I'm going to logo scout here because I don't know any of these guys. I'm probably going to go with Tyreek Smith. It looks like he has a lot of missed tackles, so that's something they're going to have to work through. But I think the amount of frequency they used him in run defense and coverage from year to year has showed they trusted him a lot. Yeah, I think it'd be a good guy.
Okay.
Possibly picking players at this point.
Yeah, honestly. Here, okay, it's so stupid because I'm looking at all these different things. I'm like seeing like what have the Colts taken already? Colts. Okay, they already had them take cornerback. I don't want to have them take a second cornerback. Maybe we'll just do kind of like decent like interior edge pass kind of guy, which with Darius Robinson. He's kind of fallen, at least according to the ADP on here, but I know that's not really that accurate, but I think it's all right.
I mean, best guy available according to PFF. Okay, so with LA. That's a commercial that goes in my head when I hear that. Okay. We had Junior Colson. I don't think they had a first rounder, did they? No, they did. We picked Byron Murphy. I keep forgetting about Byron Murphy.
It's been
my gosh. Oh my. Okay. So we have them going defensive tackle, linebacker. Let's see. I'm gonna go Michael Pratt. Let's see. I'm stuck between Pratt and Milton because Milton has so much of upside. I'm gonna go Michael Pratt here. I think he's an underrated quarterback. I think he's the type of guy the Rams would go for. I know they just got the guy out of Georgia, but I think
that's Bennett.
No, I was talking about Matthew Stafford, but no. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's in Bennett. And I think he's a great backup right now who hasn't realized his opportunity yet, but I think it doesn't hurt to plan out your future and get the quarterback here as well.
Well, I don't even think Stetson Bennett was training with him. He was I think he was in rehab all season, so I don't think he even played like any football last year. But
okay, it makes this pick more valuable.
So I think it's a good pick. I was thinking Pratt or Rattler here for the Rams. Obviously not the Steelers. They have like a million quarterbacks now. Here I'll have the Steelers. I'll have them take Rook or Horo from Clemson, the defensive lineman. I think they're all right here because they got like Keanu Benton, right? Larry Ogunjobi, Cameron Hayward, but like Hayward's kind of getting on the older side of things, and so
he's gonna retire soon,
right? And then like what? How old? I guess Ogunjobi, he's 29, and so it's like sure he's getting older-ish. I don't think he's retiring anytime soon, but I think it's just nice little bit of added depth onto the team, especially when you're taking guys in the third round.
Yeah, there. Okay. With the Browns, I want to pick Kamani Vidal so badly because they don't have a guy like him. But Dylan Johnson, I could also see them picking as well. I'm going to go Kamani Vidal. I think he gives them kind of like the interior running that they miss sorely from Nick Chubb. Not to level that Nick Chubb has. I'm not going to pretend and be an idiot here and say Vidal is better than Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, I called him the best running back in the league, and I stand by that when healthy. But I think it helps them like prepare for when he's gone. So.
Yeah. Loser Dolphins. Okay, we got quickly the Texans right here.
I don't know what picks we got.
Too many. Let's see.
This is not our longest podcast to date, by the way.
It is.
We got some time to spare.
Oh, it isn't. Yeah. Okay.
All right, what were you saying? Sorry.
No, this is so stupid of me scrolling up again to see Chris Jenkins is.
Yeah, they had a better system last year, I feel like, where you could see the teams.
Yeah. Have the Texans only taken one guy so far? Just Chris Jenkins.
Problem with this is
we have them taking edge rusher as well.
I don't want to lose our progress.
Well, Oh, I like him. But he's not going to the Texans. Getting a bunch of wide receivers on the list. Let's see. Let's go
Chris Braswell. As they have like the 3 best wide receivers on their team already.
Right? Like there's a lot of receivers that I'm starting to like kind of show up on here. Okay, quickly again.
I mean, it's fair. It's fair when you have like Stephon Diggs at kind of like a limited value, right? Limited amount of time right now. So
I will take Brandon Dorlus. Is just kind of like another depth kind of guy for that defense, I think. Just kind of
defense. Okay. What position?
Defensive line, interior defensive line. Brandon Dorlus.
Yep. Okay. Alrighty. Mighty Dandy Cowboys.
Okay.
I think they're okay. Cornerback. We just picked up a running back for them. They have Brandon Cooks. I don't know what happened with Michael Gallup. They might still have him on the team. Regardless, I think they also could use a wide receiver here. I'm going to give them McMillan. Basically, all the Washington receivers were really good this year.
Yeah.
I think this could be a really good number 3 for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Let's see. Packers.
Can you pick a kicker, please?
Let's see. I'll have the Packers go. Cedric Gray, he's a linebacker from North Carolina. It's decent off-ball kind of guy that just that adds extra depth to that defense. I think I had them. Did I have them take a safety earlier? Yeah, I think
That's Cedric Gray, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, I saw the words and it didn't translate in my head. Okay, Tampa. Did we have them taking a running back last time? No, I had picked cornerback. Okay. All right, and then Peyton Wilson. So very defensive heavy. Okay. No, I was trying to look at Tampa's previous picks.
Yeah, no, I was looking through them too.
I think they're one of the few teams that are set on wide receiver. Kind of a bummer. They could go wide receiver anyway. We go edge rusher here. Let's see. Javon Solomon, Troy. I'm going to give them Dylan Johnson. You can kind of use him as kind of like a lightning thunder that you have with Rashad White. So I think that'll be good. And I think that's how like Rashad White's best optimized anyway. So it's going to help out both players.
Here, Cardinals, I'll have them take another wide receiver, Jermaine Burton.
Okay. Solid choice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had them take wide receiver round 1, potentially the best wide receiver in the class. But again, outside of him, there isn't much. And so I think, after a round, you go and take a receiver that might be just another key, playmaker for him.
Okay. I was going to pick Jonah Ellis to the Packers because they need an edge, but he's already gone. So I'm going to pick a random edge for this Packers team at this point. I didn't really study the edge class well, so that's on me. Let's see. Thomas, Austin Booker, Javon Solomon. Yeah, these are guys I do not recognize. Like Mo Kamara, I'm like, oh, okay, guy I recognize. I know he's really good. I'm gonna pick him. Let's see, Xavier Thomas.
Okay. Buccaneers. Let's see. I'm gonna have them take Cedric Van Pran. Just kind of bulking up that offensive line of theirs that I think needs to be addressed.
Okay, where's
he's a center? If you could probably just search for him, Cedric Van Pran.
Oh, with an S. That's why I missed him. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I was typing in Cedric as in CEDRSCK. Okay, Ravens. We didn't have them picking a wide receiver, did we? I feel like we haven't.
I don't think so.
Cornerback for them.
Corner and
we got tackle. Okay.
Tackle.
I'm gonna go wide receiver and hammer it home for the Ravens. I think they will need a third one. Okay, Johnny Wilson, Florida State, Malik Washington, and Anais Smith. Wow, if they can get Anais Smith, that would be sneaky. That's again, guys. There's so many wide receivers in this draft class. This is probably the 5th one I called underrated in this episode, but Anais Smith is one of these guys too.
Anais Smith is who you're going with?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I think part of me wants the 49ers to go after a wide receiver here. Not necessarily because they need one, but because of the connections.
And
sure, but I'm gonna I'm gonna have them go Brendan Rice from USC.
Oh, nice. That made a lot more sense now. Nice. Nice to go with Rice there. Okay. All right. Kansas City. So we have them go cornerback. We have them go wide receiver. I don't want them to pick another wide receiver. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? Why am I looking down the options? What am I doing? Okay. Not much. They could go Malik Washington. Johnny Wilson's also good. Taj Washington, sneaky. Luke McCaffrey, one of your guys, could pick him. But I think they might want to go tackle to try and make up for the Donovan Smith pick. Let's see. I'm just going to pick one of the best ones available, Roger Rosengarten.
Okay. Let's see. Jaguars. Oh, that's interesting.
No sacks both years? Wow. He's played 28 games and hasn't allowed a single sack. Wow. Okay. That's a steal. That's definitely a steal. I wish the Bears picked him in the 3rd round. And I don't know what I was thinking. They pay some really good competition too. Why is he ranked so low? Unbelievable. How do you not allow any sacks?
Oh, it's always interesting how like guys fall like this.
Yeah, it's a weird ranking system there.
Let's see. Okay, time to look at the Jaguars picks again. This is like the most time-consuming part of this entire thing. It's just like going back.
Yeah, I feel like the system last year allowed us to choose each team.
Yeah.
And that made it more convenient. I do not like the way PFF does this right now.
Yeah.
So you picked the guy from Western Michigan, Nealon, defensive end.
Yeah, I found him. So I'm gonna have them continue to bolster their defense and get Dadrian Taylor Demerson, the safety from Texas Tech.
Okay. Solid pick there. All right, with the Bengals. Okay. CBS has the Bengals picking Keelan Carson. So another cornerback there. I don't know why. Let's see why. I can select quarterback. Okay. Average grade. 4 touchdowns. Okay. A lot of yards given up though. Huh. Okay. I mean, sounds like he's a guy that could be used in the return game though. Why not? We're like at the 97th pick. We haven't studied cornerbacks clearly, so there you go.
Here I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna go Saraoa Laumea, tackle from Utah. He has decent. He's one of the few other tackles I know later down the list. But I think he started all 4 years at Utah. He still has like things to work on, but I think he's just a nice developmental guy that can be good in the future.
Okay, solid guy. Okay, LA. I have no idea what I picked for this team at this point. Could have quickly scored up here. Junior Colson, yeah, we got that. Byron Murphy, I didn't forget about that. Michael Pratt, okay. All right, so at least tackle and cornerback. So let's see, Andrew Phillips. He has an even worse passer grade allowed, but 2021 and 2022 were really good. Yeah, I don't like that from this last year. That scares me off a bit. Screw it. I'm going to go Malik Washington with this team. I get it. Demarcus Robinson's a fantastic 3 for them, but I think you can never go wrong with more wide receivers when you have a quarterback like Matthew Stafford.
Let's see.
Who could have guessed Washington's picking again?
Yeah, look at that. All we do is pick. Here I'll have them take Cade Stover, tight end.
Okay. He's another development guy in my opinion, but he's got some upside.
Yeah, bottom of the 3rd is in a bad spot though.
Alrighty. That does it for us. If you guys are still watching after this, which is a high rarity, thank you guys. You get to see Corstian's beautiful desk, beautiful face as well. And yeah. Thank you so much. Fireworks everywhere. We're really excited about the draft. Yep. Follow our user tag there on Instagram. On YouTube, it's Amon A Mission, 3 words there. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And till then, later, guys. Can't wait for the draft.
Peace out.